the goal number one is to end poverty in all its form everywhere. So this is from the website about the SDG goals. I'll just read a couple of quick things. Extreme poverty rates have been cut by more than half in 1990, but poverty is more than the lack of income. Hunger and malnutrition, limited access to education, that's why we can't separate this out, social discrimination and exclusion, and lack of participation in decision making. When we talk about 4 kinds of action in service learning, we talk about 4. Who knows one of them? Who can name one of the 4 kinds of action? Direct service. What's another one? Indirect. And what's another one that starts with the letter A? Advocacy. And I often ask students why we need to do advocacy. Advocacy is giving voice to people who or whatever doesn't have a voice in society. It's being their voice. Who doesn't have a voice in our world right now? Who do you think doesn't have a voice? The poor. Children often don't. Who else or what else?
Ex-felons.
Ex-felons.
Immigrants.
Immigrants. Refugees. The planet. Animals. Often elders, people with special needs. So we become their advocate. So advocacy in the 4th kind is research, doing more research that we can then apply. So what does this mean for Los Angeles?
I've been to Venice, where residents step out of their homes and over the blanketed huddled masses.
I've seen mid-city merchants clear homeless people from the entrances to their shops.
I've seen homeless colonies on the shores of the LA River where storm drains are toilets and people bathe in the water.
I've seen San Fernando Valley parked with more sleeping bags than kids that play.
I've seen veterans asleep at the gates that were being properly addressed with.
I've been to Skid Row in Hollywood with a doctor and a social worker who share notes on who among the most desperately ill might die next before help arrives.
This is not a disaster movie, nor a dystopian dream in which rules and social contracts do not apply.
This is Los Angeles.
I can hardly, my legs feel like they're rocks. I've got chill. I mean, so when we talk about what can we do, what's one thing we can do? Make people what? Aware. So even something like this is a powerful way to shift the energy so people have to see things and face them and think, okay, is this okay with me? Because that's what we have to think about. Is this okay? All right, so yesterday there was this article by Steve Lopez in the paper, and it was the first in this series. So I opened up the paper. I just got back from New York last night. I'm looking at the paper and going, oh my gosh. And I started reading the letters to the editor. And so I wanted to show you how people responded, because this is really interesting to me. So someone wrote, I'm not going to read all these. What is the point of more aggressive intervention if there's no place to house and care for the people who need help? So because one of the things is let's get them off the street, but to where? There's not enough housing. There aren't enough beds. So there's all this article, in the article there's all this stuff about turning motels into residences. It's just all this stuff. And this one says, officials make it their business to tally and categorize the homeless, say that approximately 1 in every 3 homeless people is in serious need for mental health treatment, for 1 in 3. However, that population pales in comparison with the number of economically homeless who've been evicted on the heels of climbing rent or vanishing employment. So if we think it's all mentally ill, 2 out of the 3 homeless people are there because of economics and no housing, job loss. So, got to know this stuff. In our backyards, in our backyards. This isn't everyone's backyards. My husband and I are on a chain of people in Mar Vista. They send emails, and somebody's complaining because there's a homeless woman staked down in her backyard. And all the things that that brings in terms of sanitation issues. Are you aware that it's in your backyard? I'm just wondering, how many of you realize that this is in your backyard? Just raise your hand if you are. It may not be in your neighborhood yet, but it's like one of those things, coming soon to a neighborhood near you. You know, this is, and you know places like, I don't know if you know this, but when the Olympics were in Atlanta, they put people on buses. And do you know where they sent them? Santa Monica.
They did, yeah, we did it in LA when it was last time the Olympics were in LA. And
They
they're
moved
probably
it?
going to do it
Yeah.
again.
2 more, because I couldn't stop. What about seniors on a fixed income who lives in non-rent controlled building? When rents go up, another senior takes their belonging in a cart to the street. Teenagers leaving foster care There's nothing after foster care for them. So they sleep on sidewalks and alleys, and parents with small children are living in their cars. I think we need this image. Oh, and this one person wrote, and this is the longer one, if these words sound cranky, perhaps it's because I've just been notified that my health insurance premium, which has doubled in the past decade, is about to go up another 25% because my age may have changed. And the person ended with, save me a seat on the sidewalk. You know? Okay. So there's been a big study recently from the UN, and the report just got released today or yesterday, so I didn't get a look at it. But when the guy who was doing this study I'm just going to go, here's the new more, that we're up, we used to say 18.7% of our residents were estimated to live in poverty, now it's 20%. California is #1 in the country in people living in poverty. You didn't know that? If you thought it was Mississippi, nah, it's California.